Welcome to NTD News. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Here are today's top stories. Violent clashes between police and protesters in Hong Kong intensify. Tensions escalate as police are now threatening to use live bullets. A White House official has responded to the violent standoff between police and protesters at a Hong Kong university. The White House is condemning the use of force and urging Beijing not to erode Hong Kong's freedoms. A gathering of family and friends in California took a deadly turn on Sunday. A man began shooting into the crowd gathered to watch a football game. 10 people were killed or wounded. Police are now going door to door for information on the suspect, who they say is still at large. Hundreds of pages of internal government documents have been leaked from China's mass detention facilities in Xinjiang. They reveal that the forced internment of Uyghurs and other minorities came from directives by Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Clashes between Hong Kong police and protesters have continued to escalate over the weekend. The city's Polytechnic University has now become the epicenter.
Hundreds of protesters are still holed up at the Polytechnic University in Hong Kong after an intense two-day confrontation with police. Arrests have been made throughout the day as anyone who tried to leave the university was either pushed back by tear gas or arrested immediately.
I've seen many police, riot police just standing here, and they just don't let away the protesters go, and all protesters trapped there.
Clashes began on Sunday afternoon as a large number of riot police arrived at the university with armored trucks, water cannons, and for the first time, sonic devices.
Okay guys, as you can see here, the police are still firing their liquid from their trucks. They did make an offensive to push the students back, or push the protesters back, I should say. And my cameraman was just hit by a projectile. And it's just turned into a war zone here at Poly University.
One volunteer medical worker was hit by a water cannon and remains in a critical condition in the hospital. Protesters tried to counter the police offensive using rocks, makeshift catapults, and Molotov cocktails.
But what do we have? We have nothing. We only have bricks and some other very totally non-balanced defense power to defend ourselves.
Police said today that they may use live ammunition if protesters continue to use weapons against them. In a win for protesters, Hong Kong's High Court today struck down the city's ban on face masks. The ban was recently implemented by Chief Executive Carrie Lam via emergency order and was used to criminalize protesters. The court found that it violated the territory's constitution. So protests are continuing around Hong Kong, with Poly University being the center. But all across the city, there are smaller protests aiming to draw the police's attention away from Poly University and maybe give the students a chance to escape from there. Paul Graney, NTD News, Hong Kong.
And the White House yesterday spoke out against the increasing violence of Hong Kong police following the events over the weekend. They said President Trump expects Beijing to honor Hong Kong's autonomy.
The White House criticized the Hong Kong police after clashes with protesters at Hong Kong's Polytechnic University. A senior official in President Trump's administration said on Sunday, "We condemn the unjustified use of force and urge all sides to refrain from violence and engage in constructive dialogue." The intense battle between the two sides took place after protesters blocked a Cross-Harbor Road tunnel near the university in an attempt to pressure the Hong Kong government into fulfilling the protest movement's 5 demands, which include universal suffrage. The official added, as the president has said, the United States expects Beijing to honor its commitments under the Sino-British Joint Declaration and to protect Hong Kong's freedom, legal system, and democratic way of life. Senator Marco Rubio is still working to fast-track the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act through the Senate. He tweeted about the bill following the latest violence. "This is very simple. Hong Kong autonomy is a reason the U.S. treats it differently than mainland China. If Beijing moves to take away autonomy, there is no longer any rationale for special treatment." Police broke through the main entrance of the university at around 5:30 a.m. Sunday local time and made several arrests. Many more arrests followed in and around the area, including the arrest of the vice chairman of Hong Kong's Democratic Party.
In what many regard as a propaganda stunt, China's People's Liberation Army, or PLA, made their first appearance Saturday in Hong Kong. This is the first time they've been seen in the city since protests began.
The soldiers removed debris from earlier clashes between police and protesters. There are some PLA soldiers stationed in Hong Kong, but it's illegal for them to get involved in Hong Kong affairs. They can only do so with approval from the Hong Kong government, which said it did not make such a request.
How about if they carry guns outside voluntarily? How about if they do anything voluntarily? It is against the one country system, it's against the basic law.
Many residents were dismayed by their appearance. The PLA has been involved in the suppression of Uyghur Muslims in Western China and was also involved in the Tiananmen Square massacre of 1989.
Really, it's still in our mind. It's so horrible, right? So we are just afraid that something like that will happen again.
Paul Graney, NTD News, Hong Kong.
A backyard football watch party took a deadly turn on Sunday when a gunman walked up and began shooting, killing 4 young men and wounding 6 others in Fresno, California.
According to police, 35 to 40 people, mostly family and friends, were at the house, including several children. Fresno Deputy Police Chief Michael Reed explained that the suspect arrived on foot and began firing into the backyard crowd. He added that the shooter struck 10 people and is currently still at large. Reed told reporters that first responders arrived at the house around 8 p.m. after receiving multiple 911 calls. 4 victims suffered fatal injuries, 3 of whom were pronounced dead at the scene. Reed said they were Asian men between the ages of 25 and 30 years old. 6 additional victims were treated at nearby hospitals for non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Fresno Police Lieutenant Bill Dooley said that the police are going door-to-door looking for surveillance footage and witnesses who may have information.
Louisiana re-elected Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards for a second term, a rarity in the Deep South. The result shocked Republicans who had hoped to reclaim the seat with President Trump's endorsement of his opponent.
The moderate Democrat ran with a focus on bipartisan state-specific issues.
And to God be the glory. My love for this state deepens with every day that I have the honor to serve as your governor.
He generated just enough cross-party support to defeat Republican businessman Eddie Rispone on Saturday, getting about 51% of the vote.
And this is your night even more than it is mine. You didn't just vote for me. You voted for 4 more years of putting Louisiana first.
Trump took an intense interest in returning the seat to the GOP, making 3 trips to the state to rally against Edwards. Trump won the state by 20 points in 2016. Republicans hope his support would boost Rispone's stature in the state. This comes after GOP defeats in the Kentucky governor's race and losses in Virginia's legislative races. The result of the Louisiana race could rattle Republicans heading into the 2020 presidential election.
At a joint news conference on Sunday, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper and his South Korean counterpart announced that the 2 countries have indefinitely postponed a joint military exercise.
During a trip to Bangkok with South Korean Minister of National Defense Jong Kyung-do, Esper said they remain committed to supporting ongoing diplomatic efforts to bring peace to the Korean peninsula. Esper has also urged North Korea to return to the negotiating table without precondition or hesitation.
We have made this decision as an act of goodwill to contribute to an environment conducive to diplomacy and the advancement of peace. We encourage the DPRK to demonstrate the same goodwill as it considers decisions on conducting training, exercises, and testing.
The U.S. military for years has called its joint military exercises with South Korea an important means of keeping troops and commanders ready for combat on short notice. But Trump thinks the training is a waste of money and a provocation of the North. Esper says the postponement is not a concession to North Korea, but a deal he says will lead to the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. North Korea had criticized the U.S.-South Korean military drills, calling them preparations for an invasion. Shortly after Esper and Jong spoke, the North Korean Foreign Ministry issued a statement of defiance. It said the country has no plans to negotiate its nuclear program unless the U.S. offers to first discuss the withdrawal of its policies against Pyongyang.
Ford Motor Company unveiled its new electric performance SUV in Los Angeles yesterday, the first in an $11 billion investment in electric vehicles. The Ford Mustang Mach-E is set to rival Tesla's upcoming Model Y.
For Executive Chairman Bill Ford, it is the combination of two dreams: for Ford to be a leader in clean cars and for the iconic Ford Mustang model to live on. Ford said he expects the car to be profitable right from the start. The benefits for the driver claim to be lower servicing costs, tax and emission zone benefits, and no need to refuel. Instead, Ford says it is as easy as charging your smartphone. A crucial aspect when considering buying an electric car is the distance you can travel between charges. The Mach-E is expected to achieve a range of between 210 miles and at least 300 miles in the extended range version.
You get more space, you've got that whole empty front end now that you can use things, instant torque, instant power, really good driving dynamics.
Ford has committed to spend $11.5 billion on electric vehicles in Europe between 2017 and 2022. Plans include the introduction of 15 electric vehicles, with 13 hybrid vehicles to arrive by 2020.
For sure, this field is going to get more crowded over time. Everybody's committing to electrification. That's why we want to get out there early with our best effort and really show people, look, Ford can do this.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk showed his support for his competitor in a tweet late on Sunday. Sustainable electric cars are the future. Excited to see this announcement from Ford, as it will encourage other car makers to go electric too.
The New York Times obtained more than 400 pages of internal Chinese documents. They provide an unprecedented inside look at the crackdown on ethnic minorities in China's Xinjiang region.
The newspaper said on Saturday that the documents were leaked by a member of the Chinese political establishment. They show that Chinese leader Xi Jinping gave a series of internal speeches to officials that set the stage for the persecution of the Uyghur ethnic minority, many of whom are Muslim. The documents included a script for officials to follow. They explained what to tell students returning to the region why their parents had disappeared. In the speeches, Xi Jinping did not explicitly order the creation of a large network of camps, but called for the party to use the organs of dictatorship to deal with extremism. He also said we must be as harsh as them and show absolutely no mercy. The New York Times called the documents one of the most significant leaks of government papers from inside China's ruling Communist Party in decades. Beijing denies any mistreatment of Uyghur Muslims or others in Xinjiang, saying it's providing vocational training to stamp out extremism. China's foreign ministry did not deny that the documents were real, but it said the New York Times report was a clumsy patchwork of selective interpretation. Uyghur activists called China's persecution a genocide in a tweet. The U.S. government estimates there are between 1 and 3 million Uyghurs in Chinese internment camps.
28 people are in quarantine in China's Inner Mongolia province after a hunter was diagnosed with bubonic plague Saturday, despite an earlier declaration by the health officials that the risk of an outbreak was minimal.
The Health Commission of the Inner Mongolia region said a 55-year-old man was diagnosed with the disease after he ate wild rabbit meat on November 5th. Bubonic plague, once known as the Black Death, is the most common form of the disease. It is rarely transmitted between humans. The case comes after the Chinese regime announced less than a week ago that 2 people were being treated for the pneumonic plague in Beijing. According to the World Health Organization, pneumonic plague is the most virulent and deadly strain of the plague. Li Jifeng, a doctor at Beijing Chaoyang Hospital where the 2 people sought treatment, wrote on WeChat that the patient sought treatment on November 3rd. The post has since been deleted. China has a history of covering up and being slow to announce infectious outbreaks, prompting many to call for answers. One user wrote on Weibo that the plague is not the most terrifying part, and what's even scarier is the information not being made public. In response to the 3 cases of plague, Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare said it would closely monitor the situation, but detailed information about the patients has been blocked by the Chinese Communist Party censors.
Aramco, the world's most profitable company, kicked off its offering period yesterday for Saudi retail investors. The price of the shares and total amount floated is significantly smaller than originally planned. That said, its lineup to shatter records was the biggest initial public offering in history.
The total value of the oil giant would be $1.6 to $1.71 trillion, outgunning Apple by at least $400 million. If it achieves a higher range, the sale would raise over $25 billion, making it bigger than Alibaba's debut back in 2014. Within its peer group, Aramco would also be 5 times the market capitalization of U.S. energy companies ExxonMobil or Chevron. But Aramco is fighting a strong current that is pulling investors away from big oil, with worries about climate change and the potential of what is called peak oil, where demand levels off. That has not deterred the kingdom's ambitious crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who's determined to get this IPO on the market after several delays. At one point, the man known as MBS floated the idea of a 5% listing, potentially in New York, London, or in Asia, as part of his master plan to wean Saudi Arabia off crude. Those lofty aspirations have been brought down to size, with a target of 1.5%, a third of that allocated to Saudi retail investors.
Up next, parts of Austria are now under a state of emergency due to inclement weather. Heavy snowfall has disrupted railways, while 30 homes have been evacuated amid landslide concerns. More on that after the break.
Oh, the show is phenomenal. This is the best ever.
The way I look at Shen Yun is this heavenly experience. I have never seen in my life so many amazing dancers, so many amazing and beautiful costumes.
Everything in the movements, in the smile, in the emotion, they could bring grace. I was taking my dish, I was really impressed.
The back extension, the leg extension, the rotation, absolute perfection. I just have chills, can you tell?
The music is really extraordinary.
It sounded like it was pre-recorded, like it was so perfect. And I looked down and I could see all the orchestra playing. It was hard to believe it was actual live music. It was so perfect.
I like how it's not just beautiful with the colors and the music, but also it's funny because there's some storytelling elements to it.
I love every moment, especially the message of the Chinese ancient culture.
There's no other company in the United States that does this.
My heart was touched tonight. And every time I see actors perform with grace and dignity like that, it's a spiritual experience in itself.
I see God. I see the spirit of love and peace and the way that you would want the universe to be.
The energy that I got from watching is that internal spirit that I think that we all have that comes from our Creator. And I could feel that in my heart and in my soul.
I would tell my friends to see Shen Yun because it is life-changing. And you'll walk away feeling positive and like you want to help the world be a better place.
Everyone should see something so pretty.
Our kids are 6 and 8 years old, and they enjoyed it and would like to come back to see it again.
I think it's for all people, and everyone needs to see it. Absolutely everyone.
Heavy snowfall last night in Austria halted trains and cut power lines. Flooding and landslides followed in certain areas, which are now under a state of emergency.
Brenner Pass in the Alps connects Austria and Italy, but heavy snow on Sunday night led to disruptions along the train route. Railways between the city of Innsbruck and the Brenner Mountain Pass were affected, interrupting scheduled train travel from Munich to Venice. Meanwhile, in Stadl an der Mur, fallen snows caused nearby rivers to overflow. Rescue services have since declared a state of emergency in the village, home to around 1,000 residents. Some roads were also closed to traffic. Of the roads that remained open, at least one was covered with small rocks left by a mudslide. Around 30 houses have so far been evacuated, and schools remain closed on Monday.
Protesters have once again blocked the entrance to Iraq's Qasr commodities port near Basra. The blockage prevented employees and tankers from entering, bringing operations down by 50%.
Protesters are demanding the overthrow of a political class they see as corrupt and beholden to foreign interests. This protester says they are doing this in solidarity with protesters in Egypt's Tahrir Square, the site of many political demonstrations. Qasr is the main Gulf port of Iraq, which relies heavily on imported food. It receives imports of grain, vegetable oils, and sugar, among other things. According to sources, if the blockage goes on until the afternoon, operations will come to a complete halt. This is the largest demonstration since the fall of Saddam Hussein in 2003. The port was previously blocked from October 29th to November 9th. A government spokesman said at the time the blockage cost the country more than $6 billion in the first week of the closure. Since the start of mass unrest in Baghdad in southern Iraq in early October, more than 300 people have been killed.
Up next, the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery awards its annual Portrait of a Nation prize. Some of the nation's top cultural icons include Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, and the Grammy Award-winning members of Earth, Wind, and Fire. That and more when we return.
When you look at TV networks in America, a soundbite and fight-it-out culture prevails on news and commentary programs. As a Canadian, I'm fascinated with America, and I wanted to offer American thought leaders an opportunity to share their thoughts in a deep dive format, where we can explore their ideas together. And so American Thought Leaders was born. The world's most brilliant thinkers believed that open discourse was the key to greatness. However, all around the world, we see that discourse is being stifled and political agendas have subverted media. The Epoch Times launched its Global Thought Leaders program to bring back this great tradition of free thought. As the host of American Thought Leaders, every week I interview some of the most intriguing minds on the most pressing issues of our time. Be sure to check out our new episodes every week.
Our investigative reporters at the Epoch Times have spent 18 months uncovering the biggest political scandal in modern history. We connected the dots around Spygate, the actions by Obama-era officials against Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Join me on Declassified as we bring you up-to-date developments on this unfolding scandal.
Eating a big meal for dinner can leave you feeling uncomfortable, and consistently overindulging in the evening can also lead to serious heart problems.
Sitting down for a nice meal is always a good way to end the day. Just make sure it isn't the biggest meal you've had all day. According to a preliminary study by the American Heart Association, women who consumed more of their daily calories later in the evening were at a greater risk for cardiovascular disease than women who didn't. Study participants tracked what they ate for 1 week at the beginning of the study and for 1 week 12 months later. Researchers found that while most study participants consumed some food after 6 p.m., those who consumed a higher proportion of their daily calories after that time had poorer heart health. And with every 1% increase in calories consumed after 6 p.m., the likelihood of higher blood pressure, body mass index, and poor long-term control of blood sugar increased. And while this study only considered a small sample of 112 women, experts say it's an important step to understanding the connection between diet and cardiovascular risk factors.
The National Portrait Gallery honored its Portrait of a Nation prize in Washington yesterday.
The Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery on Sunday awarded its Portrait of a Nation prize to some of the nation's top cultural icons, including Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda, editor-in-chief of Vogue Anne Wintour, and Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I remember when this picture was taken, I was standing on the photographer's roof. I was scared out of my mind, and now I'm going to be remembered forever in the National Portrait Gallery this way.
Former editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour, accompanied by James Corden in the gala.
I think she is an incredibly inspiring person when you think about what she's achieved when she first came to America, and you know, she's the most influential person in fashion in the world.
American music industry producer Live Davis, who signed the Grammy-awarded band Earth, Wind and Fire, was invited to honor their award.
It's very meaningful because 47 years ago I signed Earth, Wind and Fire. And so all these years later, after all of their Grammy Awards and just incredible music, they've reached out to me to induct them on this wonderful evening. So of course it's very emotional and it's special. Thank you.
Other honorees included PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi and Nobel Prize winner Frances Arnold. Portraits of the honorees will be on display through to August 30th, 2020.
Up next, the stars of Disney's Frozen 2 attend the European premiere in London. 6 years since the first fantasy adventure came out, the sequel is set to keep captivating young audiences. The cast and crew talk about the secret of the franchise's success after the break.
Every once in a while, something comes along, so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun, an all-new production every year.
The lasting beauty of traditional oil painting, realistic style, brilliant, moving, expressive. 2019 NTD Television International Competition for Figure Painting in Oil, guided by truthfulness, kindness, and beauty. We invite you to join us on our journey back to traditional art. Gold Prize award of $10,000. For more detail, please visit oilpainting.ntdtv.com.
And it is the birthday of Mickey and Minnie Mouse, who both turned 91 today. They made their big debut in the animated movie Steamboat Willie in New York on November 18, 1928. Some fun facts: Mickey and Minnie both have their own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Walt Disney admitted privately in 1933 that Minnie and Mickey are married, but it's never been officially stated. And Mickey has a middle name, Theodore. At the European premiere in London last night, the stars of Frozen 2 speak about why the film will capture the imaginations of young fans. Idina Menzel, who sang the Oscar-winning song Let It Go, says the film really celebrates sibling love.
They support each other to find their authenticity and their truth in the world.
Actor Josh Gad agrees, saying it's something his two daughters can relate to.
The first Frozen was really about the love between two sisters. Sibling love is really powerful. It speaks to so many of us.
He adds that his character Olaf continues to see the bright side of life.
And with Olaf, he's such a bundle of optimism and joy in such a cynical time.
Jonathan Groff, who voices Mountain Man Kristoff, brought his nieces along to the premiere.
They didn't blink for the entire movie. They loved it. The minute it was over, they wanted to see it again.
So what is the secret of the Frozen franchise's success? Directors Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck say the characters are flawed like us, but stick together.
I think that the characters they're a lot like us. They have flaws.
Yeah.
But they're still characters that we look up to.
Family, and they're trying so hard to support each other and navigate the real world. We don't do a classic villain. It's facing the world in both films. That's the villain, but also the reward and on your side.
Frozen 2 is in theaters November 22nd in the UK and in the US. And that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in. Join us again tonight. I'm Tiffany Meyer.